You are now live. We're telling you, I say this every time. We're telling your followers that you've started a live video. This is probably me talking to myself. Hello. This is so funny. I feel like I'm doing hospital radio today. It's just morphing into the most extraordinary thing. Oh, Air Kirsty sent a request to be in your live. Wait, come back. Go live. Kirsty. Is she in? Have I wait? Oh God, this is. We're waiting for Air Kirsty, who I do believe. Hey, hello.
Hi, Helen.
Oh, this is like, oh, we're in an aeroplane. Your sound is like slightly distant. May you say more words?
Oh, really? Can you hear me now?
Am I loud with you?
You're loud and clear.
Oh God. So turn yourself up. What can I do? With the other people who are listening, is Kirsty like talking through a porthole like she's in a ship and trying to gain attention, or is it completely normal, just waiting for some kind people to tell us? But anyway, Kirsty, even though I can hear you like you're in a sort of submarine, that's fine because it's got atmosphere. Well done. So say some more words. Thank you, Helen, would be fine. Well done.
Oh, look, I think they say it's okay. Hopefully it's okay.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So Kirsty, Cowgirl, this is your first novel. So you know, like we've been doing Witty Wednesdays. Oh no, we spoke. Oh, you've got the book now. With me, all the writing looks Greek because it's and holding the symbolic hussy of the quick winner. That's nice. That's like your mother told you to be prepared and polite and
I nearly
read the right items.
Someone. When I was on the tube on the way back from your winners event, I nearly impaled someone on the tube.
Well, I hope that the very clever sculptor sanded it down for these very occasions. So I don't know. Let's start at the beginning. I'm absolutely thrilled because I'm actually reading your novel, but it's on the computer, not in a book. How come you're the only one in England with the actual book?
Well, I was a bit unfortunate really because they printed off some proof copies like this one where
with a lovely colour
that all look upside down for you or back to front.
Yeah.
And then we had lockdown and they all got stuck in the HarperCollins office. So unfortunately you didn't get one. I would have loved to have one.
Is it just me? Have other people not been blessed with real copies?
I'm afraid not, no. Kate kindly sent one to me, so this is the only copy that I've got.
I think that's polite. You know, you wrote it. So when is the book going to be, well, I say in the shops, I don't know if we have recourse to shops currently, but like, so that all of us can hold it and read it.
Yeah. So the 25th of June is a big day for me because the audio and ebook are out, but the actual paper book back is out on the 3rd of September when you have a winners event.
Quite a lot of dates for someone like me whose brain's quite small. But so you've got the ebook and what was the other word you said?
So ebook and audio are out in 1 month.
Who read it? Who read this book?
Do you know Chloe Massey?
I'm sure Chloe Massey is marvelous. Can I just say something else, Kirsty? One of my little sidelines is reading audiobooks. Just saying. So on your second novel, we'll just have to kiss goodbye, Chloe, who will be brilliant. I'm reading a second novel. Now, the first question is...
Sorry, can you do Yorkshire though, Helen?
I can do Yorkshire if it's just the odd sentence.
All right.
But that was a searing and clever question. Possibly not. Possibly not to the standard. So where are you from, Kirsty?
I'm from Yorkshire.
Yes,
so
I'm
from Sheffield. And the book is based on the border of Derbyshire and South Yorkshire, which is pretty much where I'm from.
Right. Yeah. And you live in London now, don't you?
I've lived in London a while, but I'll still never be able to say Parth and Bath. I'm still a Path and a Bath kind of a girl.
That's it. No, I understand that. But you love London because that shines out in your heroine. So is your heroine, I use that word, sort of based on you at all?
There might be a smidgen of me in there.
Yeah.
I think there always is, isn't there? You know, you can't really help it. You inject a bit of everything.
The narrative voice is what everyone liked to award you the aforementioned plinth thing, hussy, that you nearly impaled someone with.
This.
So So now, can you milk a cow? Is quite important just to establish some ground rules here.
Right, that is a really good question, because I took my kids to Godstone Farm, which is where you can have lots of fun adventures as well as.
I've been there. I've been there.
And
yes.
They do have a cardboard cutout cow with fake udders at the bottom, and I wasn't too bad, Helen.
Okay, but, so you're humorously answering that in a diverted way. So you yourself are not like familiar with udders and how you have to nuzzle them and nurture the teats and all this arena.
I had to do a whole load of research. So I didn't grow up on a dairy farm, but my stepdad did. And yeah, I had to know quite a bit about milking cows. Always bump the bag, you know.
Oh, bump the bag.
Nuzzles, yeah, bump the bag.
Meaning the udder.
Meaning, yeah, you meant to just pop your head against the udder, because to mimic like a calf would do, to stimulate your milk.
Okay. I always thought, when I was writing Losing It, I've got a weird thing about breasts. And it's quite interesting if you're sort of a comedy novelist writing about sex in a comedy way. And I always found breasts kind of like, in the one sense, in the sort of true romantic sense, they're breasts. And then you can veer into comedy. Now, a very lovely colleague of mine, Karen McPherson, reviewed your book, because I was trying to find reviews of your book, and there aren't any, because of course you're the only one with a copy, which is, you know, it's not helpful. But she said, I love Cowgirl. This is Karen McPherson. It was funny and just the right amount of conflict and peril without going too far. Now, she said the romantic scenes were actually sexy, whereas a lot of that type of scene can be just cringy and embarrassing. So how, because there's a lot of sex in this book. I mean, obviously I've just dipped in. I've dipped in and out.
You must have just dipped into the sex bits.
Well, I lingered and reprinted for my notes. But how do you find writing sex scenes? I mean, I also have written sex scenes, but sex and comedy, when you're going for it, is different, because your book is very warm-hearted, so maybe you don't need to kind of go for the absurd element.
Yeah, I just think quite often realistic sex scenes are more like clumsy and clunky, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they're probably more realistic than the airbrushed type ones that you might get.
Airbrushed. Yours aren't airbrushed. Do you have a glass with you? I'm just drinking to get in the zone.
Are you? I actually have my pot of tea, Helen.
Okay, pot of tea is good because it takes all comers. I'm on the carver. So, when you wrote this, let's go back to you entering it for Quip.
Yeah.
How far along the line were you with your manuscript?
This might blow people's minds a little bit.
Oh my God. Okay, poised.
Well, unfortunately, I can't say, oh, I just wrote it and handed it to you. Like, there was a painful, long period before it got to you. And I went on a Curtis Brown creative course, rewrote the novel because it was originally in a diary format, completely rewrote it, and it probably had the hangover of a diary for the next 3 edits. And yeah, it took a couple of years to get into the Quip level.
To know about it, about, because Quip only told the world that it existed in 2018, didn't it? But that's great. So but were you writing before? I mean, are you one of those people that wrote teenage poetry, and have you always kind of written?
I wish I could say yes, but I didn't write any teenage poetry. No. Not that I can share on here anyway.
No, maybe it's for the best, Kirsty.
I did used to write stage plays before I had kids, but then I used to direct them as well. And I used to go on to like the Edinburgh Fringe circuit.
Yeah. Wow. So you need to write. You're a person who needs to write.
Yeah, and I've always written comedy. And then, of course, doing stage plays and doing all the rehearsals for them requires being a little bit nocturnal. And I just couldn't do that anymore with children. And so I went on to write, I thought, right, I'm going to crack on and write a novel.
So when you began writing your novel, what was especially interesting at the Quip genre? You know, like, Bridget Jones was kind of like benchmark for subject matter. And then we thought cows. And then the lovely, clever intern called it a queer rom-com. A warm-hearted queer rom-com, which sounds great. It's kind of like just very sort of British in a kind of weird way. Would you concur with that? A warm-hearted queer rom-com.
I would say it's an uplifting one. So there's plenty of peril in there, and Billy has to jump all sorts of hurdles before she's finally affectionately dubbed as the cowgirl, because she has to battle misogyny, homophobia, economic turmoil of dairy.
And did you think that all these concepts, these are kind of, somebody, Beth has said cheeky. Well, you haven't read, well, you've probably read it, Beth. I have read, oh my God.
Beth's my friend from uni, Helen.
Okay, Beth, friend from uni, hi. Your characters wear satin bras, and that's just, well, maybe it's just lockdown, but that's a long-term memory lane, satin bras. But no, where were, so yeah, you were writing, doing the stage play, and then did you, but I mean, we like the fact that the protagonist perhaps moved away from, and it's not just, you know, concept driven to win, but it was different. So different is good. For instance, are you an expert in preeclampsia, perchance?
I am now. I wasn't.
Yeah. So all these, because they're kind of out there ideas that took you into this construct.
I never expected to get so embroiled in plot, which I ended up doing. And I just remember once taking my kids swimming, and as I was throwing these dive sticks in there, all I was thinking is, how am I going to resolve this where Billy saves the day? Like, how is she going to save the day? And I was going round and round in circles. And in the end, it ended up being a whole load of research into preeclampsia, milk fever, and calcium blue coconut. Yeah.
And which was the last one?
Calcium.
Oh, calcium.
Yeah.
That hot potato. But that's quite interesting. So in order for a plausible plot efficiency, you then took yourself off, because I was going to ask you, did you study science, Kirsty? Have you got physics A level?
No.
No. But you know, but it's, well, that's fascinating for any writer, isn't it? You go, you know, here we've got the person, it was really authentic. I thought, yep, the PhD. Oh, can we talk about disappointment? What I loved about the scenes when your character asked the very busy professor if he'd take her on.
Yes.
That scene was lovely because it wasn't a rebuff, but it was a rebuff. Yeah. And that's what I like about your layering. It's like, what was he horrible? Was he giving her the push away, or where were you coming on that? Because I like to understand where people are coming from.
So if I'm honest, that scene with Professor Williams is a little bit of meta. And I feel
Could we define meta? I like the words. I kind of think it means digital things, but what does meta mean? Is it Greek?
Someone's blowing us love hearts.
Oh,
yeah.
I prefer the love heart to the meta.
Life
but anyway,
imitates art imitates life. There's a little bit of reality in there. So I felt like the conversation that Billy has with Professor Williams is one that you might have when you go to pitch your book to an agent.
Yeah.
Saying, I like it. I want the full manuscript, but you're not quite there yet. And you're thinking, I am
yes.
there already.
But I didn't like him, no, because I sniff rejection even before it appears, probably. I expect it, because being this age, there's been so much ample opportunity for more, quantity-wise. I thought that was a fob off, and it annoyed me. But that's interesting. You thought, because you returned to him? It wasn't a complete... Yeah, no, we're probably talking riddles to people who haven't been blessed with actually reading the physical book. But so that you felt that was a kindness.
Yeah, Billy really wants a PhD and doesn't have the funds to self-fund it. Really needs sponsorship. Goes to this professor. She's really worked her ass off for years, and he kind of rebukes her, saying, "You're not thinking out the box." And she's kind of thinking, "How am I supposed to think out of the box? I've done everything on preeclampsia." And he says, can you just live it? You need to live it. And she's thinking, unless I've got preeclampsia, how do I live
and that annoyed me. I thought that was quite patronising, because you thought, look, is there a job or is there not a job? And clearly there wasn't a job, but he made her think there might be a job, but there wasn't a job at that time, and she wanted a job at that time. But that's quite led. And also, so we've got satin bras. Okay, wait. Here's a line. I love it. Are we alone? She runs her finger along my collarbone. I nod, unable to breathe properly. I had to see you. She pushes me gently against the wall. That's just a snippet, ladies and gentlemen. That's just a snippet. And may we jump to like
I love the way Helen's really honed in on my sex scene.
I love it. I love the sex. I love it. And then and what's interesting is how you sort of deal with life's disappointments, because without giving the plot away, you have to make choices. I mean, relationships don't go, do they, accordingly? And then you have a choice. And so the beautiful one comes back, does she not?
She does. There's
you
a
see,
love
I would go, fuck
there.
you. I just practice talking to myself all the time about, you know, where were you when I need. So how did you handle that?
I think it was important that, well, just to complete the love triangle,
yes,
it felt there needed to be conflict there. So Billy effectively has to choose between two women, both of which have their, everything
well, so there's a triangle, there's Billy, and then Jolie, the beautiful one, who wears a poncho. To me, it's a detail, Kirsty, but for me, that wouldn't be my go-to item of clothing if I wanted to fancy a man or a woman.
But Helen, are you not thinking more like Oliver Bonner's type of poncho, rather than the poncho that you wear to Alton Towers because you've forgotten your coat and it's started to rain?
Okay. Well, you've thought about this, and that's a good answer. There's obviously a layering of poncho desirability, and you nailed it.
These days, yeah.
So the one in the poncho and the tailored trousers and the silk cuffs, there's
you can remember us,
detail, and nice perfume, and then the other one. And so how did you navigate the being torn when the poncho woman, somebody's just said think it was the cling film poncho. We can start a debate. Now I want an Oliver Bonus poncho, says Vanessa. Well, we may, what was it, Delia Smith did something with cranberries anyway, and that's not rude. So what happened, so with the poncho woman and then the nice woman, how did you work your way through that?
Well, just without giving any spoilers away, just come full circle.
Yes.
I really enjoy writing set pieces, and one of the biggest ones was as a wedding, because in my humble opinion, there's nothing better than a wedding or a funeral or some big event like that where you can have a proper showdown. And
in the days when people could gather, yes.
In the days where people could gather,
indeed.
Yes.
It'll happen again. No spoilers, please, said Nadia. Sorry. So yes, so those kind of like denouement.
Yes. So I've got a few set pieces in there, and this particular one is just making sure that those two love interests are in the same room.
Right. Well, you're very scientific. I think you've lied to me. I think you did study science. It's a very. So let's go back. I could talk to you forever. So you worked hard on this novel. You then went on the course, because a lot of writers would be interested in this. What did the course give you that you didn't have before, given you'd already written a novel?
So it was the Curtis Brown Creative course, and a few of my friends from the course are actually on this chat now.
Well, bless them.
Because obviously at the end of the day, it's a creative writing course, and it's pimped to give you access to agents. To be quite honest, the biggest thing I got from it was my writer friends and being able to have a really, really intelligent, brilliant writing set of beta readers. And so we read each other's stuff. And
well, in live, in what, you sit down in a room and read things out loud to each other.
We meet up sometimes, but obviously since lockdown it's difficult. We'll share, if we've got time. We've got a lovely WhatsApp thread, and we'll share stuff. Someone wants a bit of a critique of the first 3 chapters or something like that. So you would help someone else. That's amazing. Somebody else, one of your colleagues, says, I love a great complex plot. And she's clearly thought this out. You've got a whole kind of groupie. Like, I never had anyone. I had to do everything on my own. You can join our group if you want, Helen.
Yeah, but I think there's nothing I need to learn, Kirsty. Don't you realise? I'm there.
I think fair writers are like gold, though. absolute gold, because you all going on a journey together. I'm just so grateful that Comedy Women in Print exists and that I could enter my manuscript in there, because otherwise I would still be going around in circles, no doubt about it.
Well, you don't know. I mean, I think it's, I'm glad you say that, because it is killing me. Sorry, I just feel really weak. There has to be a time when it moves into a place where you've got more backup. But the backup I have is amazing, of volunteers. But it was so important to me, so important, that comedy content should be celebrated. So back to you, when you were writing your thing, what was your thing, I want to make people laugh when I write, or was your thing, I just want to connect? Or how comedy, because this is a comedy prize that you won.
Yeah, I think I've always enjoyed writing comedy. The stage plays that I wrote were always comedy, and it's almost like I can't not do comedy. Right. Obviously, some might be funnier than others, and also not all comedy is everyone's cup of tea, is it? So you have to be really careful.
Well, we've had this discussion many times, and I think it's important not to be frightened by the fact that, although as a stand-up, obviously, it frightens me that you go, when you can fail so immediately with your audience with something that purports to be funny and clearly isn't. But Zoom meetings are great, aren't they? Because nobody can hear anyone laughing, because they're not sort of peering in and trying to wait till you stop speaking, so it's not natural.
It's like the Graham Norton show. Have you seen the Graham Norton show?
No.
Lockdown, and there's no obviously audience, so there's no laughter, and you're just kind of in an empty room dying. It feels like that. Which
is funny as an observer, because I've done it so many times myself. But that is a metaphor for how your writing, one's writing, needs to connect. And because when you put your synopsis in, and then you followed up with your manuscript, clearly that judging panel connected. So connecting is the same as laughing, I think, isn't it? It's so close. Because you're not going to laugh if you don't connect.
Yeah, and one of the things I've learned recently, because I've been judging your Quick 2020, you know, the unpublished writers.
You've been looking at you've been reading. You haven't, you've been reading. Yeah.
And it's such an experience to be on the other end of it as well. Obviously, it's a bit eye-opening, but also it does you good as a writer to just read everybody's stuff. Because I think the big thing I learned from being a judge was that you need an immediate voice just to be able to read on and read through it and to connect with the book.
Yeah,
you know,
but even within that, and you're so right, and it's very interesting for you, having won it, to then be on the judging panel, which is right, because you are our winner, inaugural, don't know what that's Latin for something, and then you could, with that, thanks to the vagina there, and it's really interesting for you to see other people at a stage that will then be developed. So how far do you think that your original manuscript has morphed into the product that is the pink book that sadly I'm not holding in my own hands at the moment?
Yeah, I'd say the pink book that I'm holding in my hands isn't too far away from the version that you saw.
Great.
Some of the setup has gone, and then some of the middle act, because I kind of I structured it in 3 acts, and the middle act I'd say beefed up a bit with the editorial notes, and the setup in the first act probably reduced a bit. But
did you mind being told what to do? What was your a lot of the writers here would like to know, what was it like having someone write notes in the margin in red pen, like more, less, this is shit kind of thing? Not that HarperCollins would ever use that word.
I felt like it was an absolute honour for somebody to care enough to read through my book and write notes on it. So for me, it was just solid gold. And Martha Ashby was the one, she's on the maternity leave at the moment now, HarperCollins, and hi to Kate as well, who's on. Did an absolutely tremendous job with the edit.
But they have as well. But what's interesting about editors is that they are thinking, we need to make money out of this book. Here's a quote from Virginia Woolf that is salient for us both. Writing is like sex. First you do it for love, then you do it for friends, then you do it for money.
Yeah.
And this is where you're at now. So look, what these people are saying, they're so excited to read it. I mean,
thank you.
But what is fascinating is you're saying that it didn't depart that much,
I'd
what,
say,
before we run out, what did that course give you that you wouldn't, you know, how much did that course contribute to the product?
I would say that, yeah, it was quite fundamental in terms of the structure, because if I hadn't have gone on the course, I would have submitted you a diary format. And then the feedback was, nobody reads a diary in this day and age. And also, Bridget Jones's diary is top notch. You'll never beat it. That was kind of,
she was so clever. She did corner the market on diary construct, which does actually save, and not that I'm damaging that, but yeah, the plot. You probably wouldn't have to do too much plot twist and being in the room, as you cleverly said earlier.
So I felt that I went through editorial pain before I got to quit, rather than after. Like after, it was just a pleasure, and it was just yeah, it wasn't too overwhelming.
So look, I said and Morley Alice, probably one of your colleagues, said yay Kirsty. I mean, this is and in the last few minutes, I mean, you know, the good-natured queer rom-com, it had the right amount of light and shade, not all cutesy happy stuff, but it is uplifting. And if you know, I've got my copy of Cowgirl on order. Well done, Nadia. Alas, I had to make do with the computer today, but as I'm not a judge, as you know, I'm not a judge, but I just get interviewed. So what is it like in our last few minutes to go, right, you've got the book, the dream, and now people are working for you, promoting it? That must be quite powerful, or worrying.
Well, I'm not very good at these sorts of things, so I just have to fake it until I make it, I find. So I'm finding, you know, when Cowgirl comes out on the 25th in ebook, and I have to do an online book launch, I'll be quite terrified, I think, behind the scenes.
Well, it's a different part of yourself, isn't it? Saying, I've written this and I like it and I want you to like it. But if you don't do it, how will people know about it?
Yeah, I'm not a natural on social media, so I have to force myself.
I don't know who is. And it's quite interesting. I'll leave you with the thought that Angela Barnes, the comedian, gave me. She said there are some people who are performers who learn to write. That could have been me. Or there are some writers that learn to perform. And it's quite an interesting balance. And it's not an either or. You just have to kind of, it's a bit of both. You'll be on those literary festivals, but also just the fact you've written the book and people can buy the book, and that's where you're coming from, isn't it? It's the stuff on the page, unless you want to be a stand-up comedian. It's the stuff on the page.
I don't know how to do it, Helen, the stand-up thing. I mean, you're just terrific. Well, so remember when we did the Chortle Book Festival recently?
We did. Oh, Deirdre's come in. I love Deirdre. She always says nice things. Great interview. Yeah, just never change, Deirdre. That's fine. Yeah, we did do the Chortle thing, and then when one starts analysing comedy and humour, you just go, I want to.
No, but you're just a natural. So people were coming into the room, and Helen went into just stand-up mode, and we didn't really have to do anything, myself and Asia.
Then you had to speak and make sense, which you clearly did. But it is that thing of trying to, I think if comedy works, it unifies people, and if it doesn't work, it makes them really cross. And the problem with reading comedy as well is if it you know, and that's allowed, if it doesn't connect with you, you just get really pissed off, don't you? More than if it was just an ordinary book. I think comedy is complicated.
I think as well.
Nancy's saying you're coming. Sorry to interrupt you. Nancy says you're coming across as very natural. The launch will be a breeze. What a supportive environment. I've never had that. So what's your, because we have to finish it and now.
Nancy is one of your long listees.
Go, sorry?
I said Nancy is one of your long listees.
Oh, wow. So people like this know and master somebody. Say Tilton can't speak now because it's the car, but you're doing great. So the point is, you're an inaugural person, which is Latin. You've got the Vagina Award. Your book is out there, and it's amazing. So will we meet again on Twitter? Don't worry about being good or bad on Twitter. Keep them wanting. You can have too much of a good thing. And this is a really funny book, and just enjoy. I'm sounding like I'm an 80, like the grandmother in the thing. We didn't talk enough about the book. We'll do this again.
Let's do it again, Helen. Yeah,
We'll do
over
it again with
quarantini.
more alcohol and more tea.
Yeah, I'll put my teapot away and I'll get the quarantini out.
Okay, it's a date. And now I'm told I have to end because of the time, but our first quick winner with the book, so many ticks. Well done, Kirsty. It's funny. Well done. Okay, lots of love to you.
And just before you do shoot, just thank you so much, Helen.
Oh
Genuinely.
no,
I'm
I'm taking thanks. I need thanks. I need more thanks. I could actually delay this 5 minutes to have the gratitude, but alas, because of our tech, we have to go. But lots of love to you, and Cowgirl is in.
Yeah.